Hiya, BenchMate. This is Beyond the Box Art, the official podcast of the International Plastic Modelers Society UK. Please welcome your host, Paul Pendleton-Brown, and joining him this episode are Mike Baldwin, Luke Flynn, and Paul Wong. And we are joined in this episode by Luke Slane-Hewitt, Manager for Aircraft, Helicopters and Real Space at Revell.
Right then, Benchmates, we have a special episode for you. This will be dropping at midday on the Saturday for Telford Scale Model World. I'm joined by Wongy.
Evening all.
Evening. I do know what time of the day they're listening.
Well, okay, let's go again.
Hello.
Morning, evening, afternoon, good night.
Short day, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Joined by Mike.
Hello all.
And by Mr. Flynn.
Hello.
And by another Luke from Revell.
Hello everyone.
Right. Obviously, it's unusual for us to be dropping at midday on a Saturday, so there obviously is something very special in the pipeline. Luke, I believe you have a little bit of news regarding the 2026 releases for Revell you're going to impart with us.
Yes, so typically at Telford, we try and announce part of the range. We know that where our audience is, and most of them are in a town in the Midlands, so we better announce it. So for this year, we announced January to April, and then we follow up in January, date to be confirmed for the rest of the 26 range. But there's plenty enough to get our teeth sunk into up to April.
Fantastic.
Should we start with January?
Sounds like a good place to begin.
Let's go.
Perfect. So the first two releases are the 48th Eurofighter Typhoon SGR-4, and that will be in Moggy's colours, so the display jet from 2024, but it also come with a standard jet, the same jet, but in standard markings of 29 Squadron. So, elephant in the room, we love a special marking scheme, so why not kick off the year with it? And then the other item we have is the 32nd Messerschmitt BF-109 G10, the Earth. So, late BF-109s are all the fashion at the moment, and so we thought we'd bring our one back. We typically have a 32nd 109 in the range at any one time from this tooling, and it's time to refresh it. So when we're looking from a range perspective, we try and keep the catalogue as fresh as possible, even if that's not taking something out and bringing something entirely different in. It can be updating schemes of the same model or different versions, which this is. And it's not been available for over 10 years. I think 2014 was the last release. So time does fly.
Indeed.
I can remember when that first came out. Blimey. That shows me, doesn't it?
I'd never comment on that. I think it was originally released as the G6, then the G10, and we've got the G2/4 in the range at the moment. So the G2/4 will disappear and be replaced by the G10 for January.
Okay, that sounds good. So, moving on to February.
February, so the first of two items celebrating the 100th anniversary of Lufthansa. So being the German national carrier and being a German company, you know, it always does well for us Lufthansa liveried aircraft. Obviously, 100 years, people will be questioning whether Lufthansa in its current iteration is 100 years, and they very honestly say, no, they're not. But the name dates back to 100 years, with the company formed in January, I believe, but the first flight being in April. So to commemorate that, we're bringing back the 144 scale Lockheed Super Constellation, which hasn't been in the range for over 10 years, but is unique to Revell. And that will be in the Lufthansa livery. It'd be a bit strange if it wasn't for the 100th anniversary. And it will just come in that scheme. So previously we had TWA and US Air Force schemes as well, but this will just be a Lufthansa-themed item. Then we have a new parts announcement. A few years ago, we brought out the SR-71A Blackbird, and this year we'll be bringing the SR-71B Blackbird. This is the trainer version.
Ooh.
So clear your window sills because you'll need some space for this.
Is this the 48th?
It is the 48th, yes.
Oh, that's
So
huge.
it's a big thing. Obviously, there's new parts involved because of the cockpit arrangement. So a lot of the nose changes and the whole top fuselage is also altered. as a result, as well as some fins at the back. But for the most part, the kit is very similar to the SR-71A release. It comes with the two full engines, the stand, and it has two decal schemes, one for a NASA aircraft, which you'll see on the front of the box, and then a US Air Force aircraft as well.
I can see a lot of people getting very excited about a 148 SR-71B.
Well, that's the hope. And hopefully they rush to buy it.
I'm sure they will.
Just on that one, how long is the actual kit?
It's a good question. One moment. It is...
I'm just signing up Billy bookcases at the minute, that's all.
It won't fit.
big.
Sorry, but
It's 682 mils. So, small base, that's what I'm saying.
Oh, right, it might fit then.
You might as well buy two.
Yeah, I might have to knock a hole in one of the Billy bookcases and poke the nose cone through,
There's a great story about the Blackburn. I'm sure people have heard it before, but there was one, the SR-71C, that was called, get ready with the noise, Paul, because it was a mashup of a crashed A and an A-12, so the CIA aircraft. Obviously a slightly different fuel tank arrangement, but outwardly the same aircraft. But for ages, it had a 3-degree error, and they thought it was to do where they put two aircraft together, which is where you would naturally assume the error comes from. What had actually happened was that the pitot tube had been bent 3 degrees. And so rather than it being trim or anything like that, it just someone had knocked the front. So they were chasing their tails trying to diagnose the fault, assuming, quote, what I would say sensibly, it was the fact they put two aircraft together, but no, it was the pitot.
Okay. Well, imagine most of the people driving home from Telford this afternoon getting overly excited about that one. What have we got to look forward to in March?
So in March, again, we have two items. The first being the Focke-Wulf Flitzer at 72nd scale. This is part of our P series, which are also known as Luftwaffe 1946 subjects. So drawing board subjects, never made it into production or into theatre, but nonetheless, back in the late 90s, we toured a series of these. And so they're unique to Revell in most cases, and I believe the Flitzer is as well. Tiny little aircraft. Great looking thing, obviously goes with our Messerschmitt P1009A and the 555 that was brought out 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you're into those sort of subjects, we're making no secret of the fact that as long as they continue to sell, we'll be bringing one or two every year back to the range. But obviously, don't wait around because they could always be rotated straight back out of the range. If I'm feeling mean or, they're not performing. So, yeah, we have the Flitzer, and that is just a straight re-release. So in the standard boxing, obviously revised packaging, revised manual, but with the same decal schemes. This time, obviously updated, not the same decals. We haven't kept a stash for 15 years. Don't worry, they're newly produced. And then we also have another anniversary item. 2026 will be 80 years of the Blue Angels.
Oh.
They were formed in 1946, and we're doing sort of a then and now item. So the first aircraft they operated was the Hellcat, and the current that they operate is the F-18. So in a gift set, you will have the F-18 and the Hellcat in their original Blue Angel schemes, both number 1 from the respective teams. So you can represent 80 years of the Blue Angels.
That sounds like a good idea. I like that a lot. The box art on that's going to be stunning alone.
Yes, currently in development as we record at the end of September. Obviously, we can't rely on a photo for that because they've never flown together. So we've got a great illustrator working on that at the moment. The observant amongst you will know that the Hellcat isn't in the Revell range. So the current thought is to source the Edward Hellcat to accompany our 72nd F-18 toilet. Obviously, one of the considerations is always decal sheet size, margin. This is the boring side of model kit development. So sorry for anyone falling asleep, but we have to make money at the end of the day, and decal sheets can often, and this is something people don't understand, the decal sheet is often as expensive as the plastic in the kit, which, shows you how cheap we get plastic and how expensive decal sheets are in relation.
So what scale are those kits, Luke?
72nd.
72. Right, brilliant.
Okay, so with that, each month so far you've got a star item flagging up. Let's see what April brings us.
Yeah. So 2 items. I'll start with the re-intro first. That's the Westland Puma HC1 at 144 scale. So this is a lovely complement for our sort of 144 range that we're known for. It's not a scale that most operate in. And it's not been around for, again, over a decade. And, following the retirement from RAF service quite recently for the HC2s, there was a lot of interest in the type. I personally love a helicopter, and the Puma is one of my favourites. When it came to picking one to bring back, the Puma was pretty high up on the list. So we've got that coming back. The aircraft on the front of the box, I know this is an audio format, so I'll have to describe it. It is XW222, which is for our friends over at the Ulster Aviation Society, is their aircraft they have in the museum, flying over Northern Ireland, but back when it was in a two-tone camo scheme. There's a shout out for those.
Is there any new parts in that box, or is it a straight?
No, straight re-release with that one. But that brings me nicely on to the next one, new parts on this one. So we'll be bringing out a 132nd Messerschmitt ME262A1U4. So for any Messerschmitt fans, they'll know what that is straight away. But for anyone that doesn't know, it's the ME262, but with a big cannon out the front to simplify it greatly. So we've created one new mold for that one, which features all the cannon parts that you need. So essentially a whole new nose onto the front of our existing ME262 tooling.
That sounds really good.
That does sound really good, actually.
I know the type that you're talking about. The cannon is rather impressive, to put it mildly.
Yeah, it's not all about size, but in this case it was essentially an anti-tank weapon that was mounted into the front of the 262. Had a very slow reload rates, but the idea was to destroy Allied bombers from a great range. I think the recoil on it was so great that it slowed it down by something like 20 knots in the air once fired. So, yeah, a very impressive piece of kit, but, it could belong in our P-Series range because only 2 were ever made and they were never used in service, really. One was captured, I believe both were captured, but one particularly was captured, and we will have markings for it in German markings, but also
American?
Yeah, US Air Force markings or Army Air Force. So we'll try and show the life of that aircraft through its markings as it was captured in German markings and the different iterations of US markings that it wore as well.
Fantastic. Is that as far as you're going to go and tease us with for 2026?
One more aircraft, actually, in April that I forgot. I mentioned 2 items in the Lufthansa 100 range.
Yes.
By the time this goes out, Lufthansa will have announced or revealed their second aircraft, which is an A350 painted up in 100 years livery. And we are working with Lufthansa to deliver this A350-900 in the special livery that they've painted up. I believe this week, as we record, they rolled out their 787 that's been specially painted. Yes. And the A350 will follow on. And so there'll be a gift set available for any Lufthansa aficionados or anyone that likes the scheme to deco up and paint up as that version.
Brilliant. That sounds really good. Well, one question from me. Last time you were on, we broached the subject very quickly, but the 132nd Hunter T7?
Yes. So by now people will have seen the renders we've put out, and we've now entered tooling for the Hunter. On the stand at Telford, I'm speaking in September. So the hope is on the stand at Telford, if you go around today or tomorrow, will be a 3D printed prototype cockpit nose and also a built up full prototype of the Hunter T7.
Fantastic.
So we are still waiting on first shots in early November. They're very close to arrival. So people can see the progress is being made. We've commissioned 2 3D printed prototypes to be created and on the stand. So alongside our Meteors, we're running out of table space, I'm sure.
We've got space. Oh dear. And one thing we talked about, but we didn't record at the time, was the decal options in the kit.
Yes, you're testing my memory a bit because I haven't worked on them in a while, but we have 3 options being included. We have a T7A, I believe that's XL591, which is actually the aircraft we 3D scanned at Gatwick Aviation Museum.
And is on the box art.
And is on the box art, yes. For anyone that doesn't know, Hunters, T7As are the ones that we use to train Buccaneer air crews and have a slightly different instrument panel arrangement. Essentially, the left-hand side of the aircraft, port side of the aircraft, has Buccaneer dials. So we've accounted for that, and so there is a different instrument panel and combing, the part that goes over the top of the instrument panel, to show that difference. In terms of other decal schemes, we have a Dutch aircraft, a standard T7, to keep the continental Europeans happy. And originally we announced we were doing the Black Arrows as an aircraft. I'm a big fan of that aircraft. But we did a bit of a poll using Gary's stuff on YouTube, but also speaking to other people around the world. And it was expressed that the Blue Diamonds was probably a better choice than what people wanted. Paul's nodding. So we've decided to change our marking options. And so we'll have those three schemes. The T7A with the wraparound camo, the Dutch silver aircraft with sort of orange bands, and the Blue Diamonds, which doesn't take a genius to guess what colour they are.
And what are we looking at release time-wise for that one?
Summer 2026. Obviously, slightly disappointing that we've had to delay. We had to prioritise the Meteor in the end. We had a bit of a problem with designers, so we had to stop halfway through and then start again, essentially. But this is often the case with project work. I'm just happy that we can deliver an update. We'd waited 27 years, so what's an extra year from the original announcement?
Exactly.
Confident summer 2026.
That's sounding really good. And hopefully you're going to do exactly the same in April and let us know what's going to be coming out for the rest of the year.
Yes, I will, in January. So
In that case, we'll have you on in January.
yes.
With the Bolton show very nicely.
Exactly. And hopefully the Bolton show, so for Telford, we'll have January to April 26 releases on the stand where possible. And Bolton, I'll have the rest of the 26 range where possible. Whatever fits in the back of my Astra.
Lean a bit of car, Luke.
Yes. Get a van, Luke.
Well, the wife has made me buy a new car for the baby, so a van might not be far away.
Blimey, your baby's confident at driving then.
Oh, I'm young.
All right, okay.
So have you got a list of any other releases from Revell non-aviation?
And I will, start by saying my domain is aircraft, helicopters, and real space. I do have a list in front of me, but we will have to run through it pretty quickly.
You don't want questions on this, do you?
Well,
Those are correct.
that's so good. The surface level is good. So again, we'll run through in month order.
Okay.
Is the most sensible way. So we have two items. January, we are releasing the VW Golf 1 GTI 50 years edition. This will be a gift set, 24th scale, which means it comes with glues, paints, paintbrush to commemorate 50 years of the Golf GTI.
And style off the Pirelli wheels on it.
Yes, time does fly, and I'm sure that some of you, 50 years, might not seem that long ago, but
Wongy, he's talking about you.
And I'm going to say, at the time, 1974, I think it was, 74, 75, my dad got a Golf.
oh, really?
Yeah. It was the Mach 1 version. We thought it was brilliant, but we all wanted it to be the GTI instead, which wasn't a thing for me dad at that point in time. It is now. He got the Mark 2 version later on, so I'll be putting that into my stash.
The Pirelli alloys on it as well, so they got peas going round.
Teapots.
Teapots.
Peapots, as I called them.
The second release will be the Simba 8x8, which is an airport crash tender, essentially. And this will be a limited edition release.
What scale's that?
That is 1/24th, so it's a big beast.
It's massive. It's huge.
Yeah, it's a big
How
house.
it's going to be big.
It was popular when it was out. All the fire engines were popular from Revell.
Who doesn't love a big red vehicle?
Every man does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The inner child just loves it.
Okay, moving on then. February.
Yeah, so we have the Corvette C8 Cabriolet. That's 25th scale, and that is a revision on our Corvette C8 standard car, but this is the drop top version, and that's a February release that we have coming out. Just talking about red vehicles and people loving them, all these three that we've just spoken about, the box illustration is them in obviously bright red, which is quite nice.
Best colour.
Well, my wife argued with me when we went to buy a car. She said, no, not a red car, no matter what we do. I think it only works if you've got a sporty vehicle. That was her fault. So we ended up with green.
Green's good. British
Yeah,
Racing
really.
Green. Yeah, nice.
Okay, is there a second release in February?
There is indeed, yes. So the first one is February and then the second one is March, but I'll cover them at the same time. So recently we've brought in this range called Revell Classics. The idea is actually a rebirth of classics. We've done it in the past. The idea is transparency, trying to show the consumer this is a slightly older tool and all the caveats that come along with that. But nonetheless, they're either unique to Revell, nostalgic to the audience. So we have two vehicles, the Jaguar SS100, as it's listed here, which is 32nd scale, That's February. And then we have the Aston Martin Ulster, which is again 32nd scale for March, both of which are classics and as such a level 5, which is the sort of Revell skill system that we have to try and convey, if you're a beginner, maybe don't go too near these, but they are the original Matchbox toolings into the Revell Classics range.
There's nothing wrong with that, Luke. The Matchbox kits out back in the day were brilliant anyway. Your toolings on these will still be crisp.
Yeah, and, classics, as I say, it's a way of bringing awareness, but also they have to be good kits. We wouldn't want to put any stinkers into the catalogue. When we discussed it as a team, what makes a classic was a question of age, anything predating the 90s, really. You start to think, is it a classic? Is it unique to Revell? That's a good way of judging whether it's worth bringing back as a classic. The key thing, though, is that it has to be buildable. It has to still be an enjoyable thing for people to put together, because ultimately you have to curate the range. We're simply curators of the brand. We'll come and go, but we've got to keep Revell alive, and we've got to therefore manage expectations. And Classics goes away to doing that, whilst also allowing us to bring back some of these molds that otherwise feel disingenuous to bring out as a standard item, in the same box as something that was made in 2026. So that's some of the thinking behind Classics. It doesn't just apply to these 2 items. There'll be stuff in my range for the April onwards items and across the Revell catalogue.
Sounds good.
Yeah, it's a brilliant idea, Luke. Basically, it lets all the builders know where you can get hold of a good old Matchbox kit rather than paying silly online prices at a famous auction site that we all know.
I think we spoke last time I was on about judging re-releasing and the second-hand market being a good indicator for that. If they're going for silly money, you do start to question internally, well, we have the tooling for that and it's still all right. Shall we bring it back? Obviously, there's...
Absolutely. And certainly for the Matchbox 132nd scale cars. I mean, 2 years ago, I went berserk on that popular auction site and I bought the lot from the old Matchbox stuff. Bits missing on some of them, but I just thought to myself, great kits, great cars, silly prices though, unfortunately. But don't tell Mrs. Wong, they're all cheap.
Luckily, when I'm acquiring stuff for silly price, it's normally for work. The company credit card comes in helpful. The reference kits, I don't get to build them. I will say that. They get put to use.
Fantastic. Okay then, what's next on the release schedule?
So in March, we have the new tool McLaren 750S.
Ooh.
This has previously been announced, but I believe has pushed back a bit into 2026. So yes, March is 24th scale. Should say that. We'll have that hitting the market.
I like that.
What sort of colour schemes have you got for that one, Luke?
Papaya orange.
Oh,
McLaren racing colours.
Standard McLaren orange.
Yeah, you have to, don't you? Really.
Yes.
It's not just the licensor telling us. It's like a Ferrari if you paint it anything other than red.
Yeah, turquoise.
Yeah.
It was a 750S at Riyadh this year, and the colour scheme on it was absolutely sublime. It went from candy apple red to cherry red, like a dark cherry, to black, and it just floored. It was absolutely stunning. That might give me a bit of a inspirational boost to do a 750S in that scheme. Damn you, Luke. Damn you.
He's done that on purpose. I know. The question is Revell going to bring out papaya orange in their paint range?
I'll pass it on to the accessories team. See what they say. They might just give me, I think it's 25 in the Revell range. They might say, that's close enough.
Dare they? How dare they?
Or they'll give us 10% this, 20% yes, 5.
No.
No, the alchemy range, yeah.
Oh dear. Okay, anything else to look forward to?
Yes, a few more. So in terms of cars, I'll whip through April. We have the BMW 507, 70 years. Again, another gift set akin to the Golf GTI set as well. So glues, paints, and obviously the model kit.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have 2 vehicles entering the range to do with the Fast and Furious franchise. We have the 1969 Chevy Camaro Yango, 25th scale, and the Dominic's 1971 Plymouth GTX. 124th scale, that one. So these are entering. There's another Fast and Furious film coming, so we'll be tying in with that quite a bit.
Gotcha. Is that it for the vehicles?
That's it for the cars, yes. Then we have ships and military vehicles, only 3 of those, so we're almost there. But in March, we'll be bringing the Queen Mary 2 in 1/400 scale back to the range. So if anyone likes ships, that's for you. And onto another ship as well, we have the Firefighter, which is a New York fire ship. This is part of the Revell Classics range, so slightly older tooling that we're bringing out.
What scale's that?
That is 1/87th, that common scale, and it's April that will be released.
Okay. I'm making notes.
Yes, no problem. And then we have final item for our range is the Leopard 2A4, and that's in its 40 years decoration scheme that it wore back in 2019, and that's obviously 1/35th scale, and that's an April release that we have it coming out.
One thing you haven't mentioned yet, real space. Anything in the pipeline for the first part of the year?
Nothing in the pipelines. By the time this podcast hits, the SLS should be on the market.
Cool.
It's good. And yes, nothing at the moment. I think we spoke last time about the difficulties of it.
Yes.
We're in a waiting game to see what the next big milestone is. For us at the moment, that's Artemis. And as we record, NASA announced that the Artemis 2 mission will go in February 26.
Yes.
So obviously we'll try and tie in with that as much as we can. And judging by that pushback to February 26, that means Artemis 3, the one that eventually lands on the moon, will probably be early 27, if not later. And until they happen, I think that's the next big thing. It's not going to go elsewhere. We have difficulties with SpaceX licensing that, there's not a whole lot of SpaceX products out there because of the need to license and the difficulties with that. NASA haven't done a whole lot apart from the Artemis missions. The hope was, according to the original plan, there would be a lunar gateway space station. That hasn't materialized yet. I'm hoping it does because it's very sci-fi, very cool. But, space does take a long time and it doesn't seem like there's anything on the horizon just yet. So we have 26 and 27 to look forward to with the return to the lunar surface, which is very cool. First time in my lifetime that that's happened. My daughter, who's being born in October, she'll be spoiled. She'll think it happens every year. We landed on the moon. So yeah, we have to sit and wait to see no real developments as such.
Anything else on the pipeline for Revell?
I'll be remiss not to mention Meteor in your presence. As this podcast goes out, we have at least 2 on the stand. I believe you have 1 on your stand at Telford. If all's gone well, Luke, please go and have a look at those. Stock should be following a week or 2 after Telford. Put your orders in with your shop of choice, and you'll soon start to see them appear. You should start to see a lot of reviews hit Marketplace as well, and hopefully that will convince you to buy them.
Well, from the episode 11 with Spencer Pollard actually saying how fantastic the kit is, and with Luke who sat on the call and nodding, which is really good for an audio podcast, but yes.
I was waiting to interject. Well, yes, it is a very, very impressive kit. And I'm sure once this has been released, this podcast, there will be lots of reviews, as Luke said. Maybe specifically, there'll be a really good one on Mac models. The YouTube channel will go take a watch.
What's the address for that site, Luke?
It's YouTube at macmodels.com. There you go.
The plug's in there.
Yeah,
He's very good, very good.
He's just a brilliant.
Don't know how he. Listen, listeners, just go there and watch it. After this.
Yeah. Jokes aside, it is a very impressive kit, as we were talking about earlier with Luke and Paul. It doesn't feel like Revell. So if you've ever had any reservations about Revell in the past, put them aside and try a Meteor. That would be my word of advice.
Where do I make the checkout to, Luke? Now you've,
Yeah, so if I just send over my bank details.
You mean it could be meteoric, this kit? Oh, God, thanks. I had to get it out, lads. Come on.
It's so awful.
It's worth saying to everyone, limited to 3,000 pieces on this first run. The special edition, the first edition as we call it, comes with a book, etch, masks and a poster, all for the great price of 110 retail, which is reduced by quite a few distributors afterwards. So, you can get a bargain, and I'd encourage you to do so.
Is that euros or pounds?
£110, €120 on the continent.
Fantastic. And that includes the Duke Hawking books, the photo etch, the canopy masks, and the poster, and the 2 engines.
And a box load of fun.
Yeah, and a box load of yes, yeah, and it's always worth mentioning 5 schemes as well on that decal sheet, so plenty of choice.
That sounds fantastic. Okay, well, thanks for that, Luke. And good luck for the impending delivery. We shall miss you at Telford, or we are missing you, or we did miss you, depending on what context we're actually listening to this podcast in. But we will speak to you either towards the end of the year or at the start of the year, reference recording for January.
I look forward to it. Thanks very much, guys. I hope to see you at Bolton show, if not before.
Look forward to it.
Obviously, we'll look forward to seeing you then.
Take care and all the best.
Cheers.
Right then, guys. Obviously, Luke's now left the call, but what do we think of the announcements for January to April? Interesting mix?
I think I might need a bank loan.
Yeah. Okay, so we've got the first 4 months of the year's releases. As Luke said, he'll be back in January to tell us what's going to be coming out for the rest of the years. But Luke, what did you think of what was actually on the schedule first?
I thought that was a pretty good start to the year for Revell personally. I think there's definitely a couple of gems in there. For me, a highlight would probably be the ME262 with that big profanity word cannon on the front of it. That looks absolutely superb. I also think bringing Moggy out is a pretty awesome idea as well. Personally, don't have too much experience with that mold or kit itself, but nonetheless, I think I could get through a few interesting bits of fitment. So overall, I think I'm pretty happy with that. And to back up what Wongy said, a bank loan might be needed.
Very much so.
Yes.
Okay, Boulders, what was your highlight?
It's a few, actually. The Puma in 144th scale, the McLaren 750S, and the Mach 1 GTI. Oh, and the Ulster and the SS100, because they're just classics in themselves. I built them when I was a kid. Amount of enamel that was put on them was enough to sink a battleship, but I think it might be a retry on doing a couple of classic Matchbox kits.
It's Raceland green. It looked great in that.
Yeah, Ulster, Aston Martin, British Racing Green.
Absolutely superb.
The SS100 of Mike doing the Old English white.
Yeah, that would work.
Okay, Wongy, what was your highlight?
I've got a few. I quite like the Golf coming back because, as I said before, it reminds me of the car my dad should have bought, which he did as a Mark II version. Sorry, Dad, he's probably not listening to this anyway. The other one is I quite like the Puma. I'm going to go for that because it's a lovely, it's a beautiful little detail kit and it's pennies, let's face it. It'll be the cheapest one in the range. I do like the Lufthansa Airbus A350. That's very nice. So I might get that one. The ME262, like Luke said, I think that looks great. And I might pull the plug and do it on that one. And to top it all off, this is why I need a bank loan, right? The Simba 8x8, get that with LEDs and all the rest of it. It will look super, and it's huge as well. So
You could do a water effect with a cannon.
well, exactly. I've done water effects before, so why not? I could have it putting out an aircraft or something.
For me, it's the 148th SR-71B. An aircraft in NASA markings, got to be done. Beautiful. And the other highlight is the 80 years of the Blue Angels box set with the Edward Hellcat and FA-18E. That should be nice as well.
That sounds great.
But also outside of my normal wheelhouse, the Leopard 2A4, due out in April, 135th. Fancy having a go at that. The Leopard's just got a really sort of business-like modern shape for a tank, hasn't it?
I've speechless. Yeah, hang on, I'm speechless because you're going into armour.
Ah, you'd be surprised what I'm into, but hey, after the late night edition again.
Visit scalemodelpodcast.com, your hub for the best scale modelling pods, because finding great content shouldn't take longer than hunting for lost photo etch.
Fishcop Models, elevating scale modelling to an art form. Experience highly detailed 3D printed upgrade parts that bring true authenticity to your builds. Creators of the acclaimed Rolls-Royce Merlin engine set for both the Kotari Spitfire and the Dambusters set for the Border Models Avro Lancaster. For bespoke design and printing, our service is as precise as it is personal, all at a reasonable price. Please take a look at our products on www.fishcopcompany.de. Shipping is available for all of our products worldwide.
Do you want cutting-edge detail for your kits? Then take a look at Phase Hanger Resin Accessories, run by USAF veteran Mike Reeves. With real-world aircraft experience as a crew chief, Mike knows exactly where accuracy counts. And today, he's bringing that knowledge to life with precision 3D printed parts. From seamless intakes and nozzles to dropped flaps, pods, pylons, and cockpit upgrades, Phase Hanger's prints capture the crisp edges and fine detail that limitations in injection molding just can't reproduce. From 1/72nd to 1/32nd scale, you'll find add-ons from Cold War classics to the latest frontline jets with frequent new additions to the product range. Every piece is designed by modelers, for modelers, and faithfully reproduced on state-of-the-art printers and shipped worldwide, and are ready to drop straight into your next build. With additions to the product line landing all the time, there's always something fresh to elevate your next build. Explore the full range at phasehangerresin.com and follow Phase Hanger on Facebook and Instagram for regular updates and inspiration. Phase Hanger Resin Accessories, authentic detail designed with a veteran's eye and available to modelers everywhere. Phase Hanger is a proud sponsor of the Beyond the Box Art podcast.
Hi BenchMates. Before we end, we are rerunning our most recent interview with Scott Taylor from the Scale Modeler Supply over in Australia. Some of you may have noticed that a few bits of audio went walkabout the first time round. That was down to an editing hiccup on my part. Yep, I cocked it up. So we're setting things right and giving you the full uninterrupted chat with Scott, and it's well worth a listen. Whilst we're here, I'm thrilled to officially welcome the Scale Modeler Supply on board as an official sponsor of Beyond the Box Art. Fantastic to have you as part of the family. Thank you, Scott. Right then, grab a brew, settle in, enjoy the full interview. Now, press the button and note to self, don't cock it up this time.
Behind every aftermarket innovation is someone who truly understands modelers. Precision by Passion celebrates those who don't just supply the detail, they are the detail.
Right then, BenchMates, we are joined by Scott Taylor from SMS in Australia. Good morning, Scott.
G'day guys, how are you?
We're well, thank you very much. Okay, we will jump in with the first question we've got for you. He says, going to his other screen. So, Scott, for listeners who might not know, can you give us a quick overview of the SMS lacquer range and what makes it different from other brands?
Well, our lacquer range, the thing that puts us apart from everything else is that it's airbrush ready. It's as simple as that. It's high pigment density. You can get better coverage in less coats, and it's airbrush ready straight out of the bottle. So all we got to do is give it a good shake, pour in the airbrush, and spray it at about 15 psi.
Okay, and is there a recommended thinner if anyone wants to actually make it even thinner, or would you recommend just spraying it straight out of the bottle?
If you wanted to add extra thinner, it's perfectly fine as well. We formulate it in such a way that it's airbrush ready out of the bottle for the majority of people. But for people who are a bit more experienced and want to change the viscosity a bit, you just need to add some lacquer thinners, general purpose thinners, if you have it in the UK, all purpose thinners. Mr. Leveling thinner works, mere lacquer thinners, as long as it's got the acetone component in it, it'll be perfectly fine to use.
Okay, Luke,
Lacquer paints often divide opinions. Some swear by them for smooth finishes, like myself, and others are wary of fumes and the handling of them. How do you approach that balance as a manufacturer?
In general, all paints can be dangerous to a certain point. Some more, obviously more than others. Situation, and the acrylic lacquer does contain some solvents that are known to be harmful to people, but in large volumes. The volumes that we're formulated ours at make it safer than generally if you're going to use something a bit more harsh, like a nitrocellulose. We've formulated ours to be safe to work on plastics, and at the same time, it reduces the amount of harsh solvents that are used, which exposure to humans is not overly dangerous in small volumes. So we try and trade that off just by trying to adjust the formulas like that so we can get that trade-off so we can keep that the same finishes and the same product things. Yeah, that's the same. We get the same finishes, same sort of stuff like that, whilst we make sure it's safe for people to use. So generally with lacquers, it's as long as you're in a well-ventilated area, so not in a confined room. So you've got windows open, got a spray booth going, nice ventilation happening, and you're wearing a face mask, they're perfectly safe for anyone to use.
Yeah, brilliant. I was going to say, I know the advantages of lacquers because I do use lacquers and love them. But for our listeners, in terms of chemistry and formulation, what are the biggest advantages of lacquers over acrylics or enamels?
The two big ones are one is ease of use. So they're very forgiving. So if you spray them on a little bit too thick, they tend to level themselves out relatively easily or relatively fast. If you do screw up, you can sand them back very easy. You can strip them off very easily. Whereas you've got an acrylic water base, it'll create that hard skin, which can either not adhere properly to the surface, or it can be a pain in the butt to actually remove if you do make a mistake. If you forget to clean your airbrush, which is one of the big ones a lot of people do, they finish for the session, tip their paint out back into the container, and they forget to clean the airbrush out because they're sidetracked or something. With an acrylic lacquer, all you need to do is just put a little bit of thinness back into your airbrush, and it will help reconstitute the paint back into a liquid form, which then you can flush through your airbrush. If you had that problem with a water base and it dried inside your airbrush, it's not going to be a fun time.
No, it's a full strip down, isn't it? Full clean out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's one of the key advantages of an acrylic lacquer is that they're just so easy to use, and to get a professional looking finish is quite simple with a lacquer.
Yeah, absolutely. My painting improved the very first time I used them. And that's what I was impressed with lacquer, is that it was easy. The very first time I used it, I didn't really have to get used to it.
Yeah. I've tried all different paints over the years because I'm a modeler myself. Before I did this, I've tried nearly every brand you can think of that was out 20 odd years ago.
Just a quick question, Scott. Is this not your background then? The making up of paints and all that kind of stuff? This is completely left of field for you.
Yeah. Well, I've learned everything as I've gone. So my background was as pretty much a hobbyist.
Okay.
I originally started this company to make a change in my life because at the time I was working as a gardener and as a landscaper, and it was a job that I wasn't going to do for the rest of my life because, as you can imagine, it's not really good for the body. The exit plan was to try and find something else to do, and I wanted to zone in on my favorite hobby, which was building models, and then end up settling on making paint.
Okay.
And we've just gone along in that time and learned all the tricks of the trade as I've gone.
It's a big gamble, but it's been a great success for you because you're literally worldwide now, aren't you?
Yeah, we're in the major markets, yeah. Yeah, we're in Australia obviously, but New Zealand, UK.
Do you there in the US?
The US is a bit of a stickler at the moment.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah, with tariffs and that.
Yeah, we've been in the US for a long time, but with all this current upheaval with tariffs and de minimis exemptions and things, we're no longer currently shipping to the USA, but we are shipping to Canada. So we do have sort of a way to get our products through Canada into the US.
With tightening regulations in Europe, especially around volatile organic compounds and solvents, how is this impacting your ability to sell or distribute SMS lacquers internationally?
Well, these new regulations aren't overly affecting what we do because of the percentages. Our products still fall within the accepted percentages. I have to look closely at some of the European regulations because each country is different, because you have the EU overreaching EU regulations, but then each country has their own version as well. Yeah, this is happening worldwide as well. You've noticed, we've all heard recently with some of the Canadian changes that were made, which was From what my understanding is, it's a certain solvent that's used in the propellants in spray cans. It's an environmental change in Canada regulations. So then that's what we've heard about all these heavy brands getting banned in Canada. It's actually the spray cans, not the paint itself. I was speaking with our Canadian distributors the other day about this, and they were a bit concerned. And the actual solvent that is being regulated now in Canada doesn't fall within our product because it's not actually in our products, which is similar to some of the new regulations that are coming into place into the EU.
Following on a pretty similar topic are you already working on alternative formulations or low VOC options to get ahead of regulatory hurdles in the EU market?
Yes, we did have a water-based range for a while, but it wasn't overly successful here in Australia, so we pushed that to the side. But we've got new formulations that we've been trialling to see if we can bring back a water-based range in our airbrush colours. It's looking promising at the moment, but it's more a market demand than anything. Here in Australia, our demand is for our acrylic lacquers. Same with you guys in the UK. Everyone wants our acrylic lacquers. So it's trying to formulate a new product based on this. We need to build up that demand to meet at the same time.
The accuracy of colours, how far do you go get that right? Because I know that you're not on your own with the airbrush ready, as I can see you smiling there.
Yeah.
You've got another company, some of the colours are a bit off, should I say. In what lengths do you go to get that accuracy as close to as you can?
So there's different things we do. Obviously, when we're dealing with federal standards and RAL and that sort of stuff, there's a standard, so we can just manufacture that to that standard. It's common knowledge. It's public domain. We don't go down the rabbit hole of colour scaling because we like to produce the colour and then let the modeler decide what they want to do with the colour, because not everyone has the same opinion on colour, as we all know. Everyone's got
Modelers, you know what they're like, they can a cool bunch.
Yep. Everyone's got their own opinion on what's the right shade of grey for whatever aircraft they're building. So we provide, when it comes to the formulations with FS and RAL and British standards and Australian standards, we just use the public domain stuff. But when it comes to the historical stuff, so your World War II, German, British.
Kind of aiming at, yeah.
Yeah. So what we've done in the past is I've done myself a lot of research where I find many different varying opinions, and then I collate those opinions to what everyone thinks these colours are. Generally, it's like maybe up to half a dozen colours. Shades of, say, Dunkel Gold. There was like 6 different versions that everyone said was right. So what I tend to do then is take the happy medium. So work out what they are, get the average between them all, and then we produce a colour based on that. And then we don't brand ourselves as historically accurate colours. We produce our colours as a good representation of what we thought the colours would be. And then we leave it up to the modeler to decide whether it's the right colour or it needs adjusting.
Okay.
Scott, how do you see the future of lacquer paints in Europe? Are we looking at restrictions, reformulation, or even potential bans in certain regions?
I'd be leaning more towards reformulation, because you also got to think in an industrial setting, a lot of more harsher versions, like hotter chemical versions of acrylic lacquers are used, industrial equipment, things like that. So they'd need to be changing your formula across multiple different industries to suit. So I wouldn't expect to see a ban outright, because then you're affecting all these different industries that are currently, a lot of these are changing. They're bringing in a water-based formula, or they're changing to a low VOC formula. But I doubt that there'd be an overreaching ban, to be honest. I think it's more going to be a reformulation, so just reducing the percentage of certain solvents in the paint mixes.
Yeah. I have a quick question to follow on this topic. Do you think all of these increasing regulations are necessary?
Yes and no. Yes, definitely it's for people's safety, because unfortunately not everyone is careful with what they do. They're a bit haphazard, but at the same time, what we do as hobbyists doesn't affect us as much as if you were using a paint like this constantly during the day. So just say you're an automotive spray painter and you're using automotive paints, then fair enough. You're working around it all day, every day. But as hobbyists, we might get maybe an hour.
Yeah.
Every so often, once or twice a week, maybe, to airbrush in that sense.
Yeah, it's just finding the right level of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, thanks. Can you share any behind the scenes stories about testing and developing SMS paints to make them safer without compromising the great performance you get out of them?
Basically, the very first production run we did, we reformulated the entire lot. We got some tests. This is back in late 2015, early 2016. We got our first production materials in to test them out, and they were very chemically hot. They were very strong in the sense of the solvents and the smells. So we went through and reformulated the entire lot to lower certain solvents that we used, so to reduce that hotness, so they were able to be sprayed on the plastic without any ill effect. And then also at the same time, reducing those solvents removed the overpowering smells that were giving us headaches, and reintroduced it with a sweet smelling sort of aromatic to it to change that around. And since then, over the years, we've gradually just changed things around. So a little bit of more of this, a little bit of less of that in the formulations. So over the course of nearly 10 years now, we've got to a point where we're very happy with the safety levels for using our paints, and as well as the ease of use and the finishes that everyone can get.
Yeah, no, it is brilliant using your paints, to be honest. As you said, you've used a lot of different paints in your time as a hobbyist, and I think a lot of the general hobbyists use different types of paints, and I can't say that, I know you're talking about solvents, the SMS paints do smell good in terms of yeah, it's good. It is good stuff. It's all
The Tom Ford of paints.
You're almost fighting the urge not to take the mask off. I'm joking. Yeah, no, they are an absolute joy to work with. So you can really see the development which has gone into them.
Thank you. Yeah. So it's one of those things.
They're the best smelling paint going, to be honest with you.
I'll be honest, if someone cracked open a few bottles of different paints, I could smell ours from a mile away, but we've got a very distinct
Yes, definitely.
aroma to ours. That's yours because out there. Yeah, it's a sort of it's a different smell, but it's good.
It's a good smell.
Yeah.
Scott, beyond regulation and all that, you've already covered that. What challenges do you face exporting SMS paints from Australia to modelers in Europe and beyond?
Our biggest hurdle is the fact that they're classed as a DG product, a dangerous goods product, because they're flammable paint. They're class 3 flammable. That's because the solvents that are in them, when they're atomized into an airborne sort of that mist, they become very volatile. So you don't want to put a Mach near them, obviously. You don't want to spray airbrush into a flame, but in liquid form, they're not. But our biggest hurdle is getting that across the oceans, because we can't send them in large volumes by air. So we have to ship to our distributors via sea freight. And sea freight just opens up a whole can of worms that is not fun at all. They're having to deal with the ports authorities here in Melbourne, in Victoria, here in Australia, and then dealing with all the ports overseas. Every port is different. Every shipping route is different. Every time we ship something, there's new red tape to go around it. It's frustrating. I do have guys that do this for me, but it's still stressful for me. I'm trying to get this all organised. So, for example, we send to our distributors in the UK who are Albion allies. So they're over in Poole in Dorset, and we send.
We know Matthew.
Yeah, we're doing Matthew and Martin all the time. They're great blokes. So we've got a pallet heating there at the moment, which should be there in a couple of weeks, just in time for Telford. To get to the UK, it has to go through Singapore. And at the Port of Singapore, if anyone has done surface shipping before in large volumes, it's not the easiest port to get through, and it goes to. So we'll leave here from Melbourne, where we are in Ballarat, which is like an hour from Melbourne, goes down to the ports, gets on the boats, goes to Singapore, then switches boats in Singapore, and that's where most of our headaches begin, because there's a lot of regulations we have to meet there. And then once it gets on the boat there, then it heads over to the Southampton, to the ports there, unloads there, and then trucked over to our friends at Albion. US, because our main distributor over there.
What kind of time span is that? What are you looking at?
For the UK, it's about 2 months, 8 to 10 weeks. It usually takes us 1 to 2 weeks to actually find a spot on a boat. We can't just go, it'll go out tomorrow. So I think we've got to book it in, and then we've got to wait until there's a spot given to us, and then we have to organise a freight down, and then gets on a ship, and then it's got to meet certain time frames to get on the boat. If it gets stuck in Singapore, it might be there for 1 or 2 weeks, and then, so it could be 8 to 10 weeks from when it leaves the door to it arrives in the UK. So our last shipment, which I think is due in about a week or two, we shipped at the start of August.
Wow.
And sea freight's not fast; it's very slow, as you can imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like to the USA, when we ship there, it'll go, our distributors in Florida over there. So it's got to, but we can't send directly to Florida because it's the other side of the country. So we've got to send it to Long Beach in California. Then it gets trucked from there or trained across from.
That's a long way.
Yeah, it's a long way. So that's usually 8 to 10 weeks as well. The Canada one we just sent was about 6 weeks, but then it's stuck in customs at the moment. And the fastest one we do is New Zealand, which is 2 weeks.
And that's pretty much on your doorstep as well, isn't it, really?
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah, so it's, yeah.
In the grand scheme of things.
In the grand scheme of things.
Have you ever tried walking from Australia to New Zealand?
Yeah, probably faster. We'll swim across.
No, but in modern transport these days.
Yeah, the international sort of things. It's just dealing with the freight because our products is classed. Even to be honest, even if we had a water-based product, which we've had before and we have shipped out before, we still have to follow the same regulations. Even though that product's not a DG, we've still got that same paperwork and red tape we're still going to go through to get it out the door. Just sea freight is just a nightmare to deal with.
Because it's DG, does that mean it's special packaging and really got to go to town on it?
It's not so much certain packaging. They really recommend that the shipping companies would rather specialised packaging when it comes to air freight, because we can air freight these, but it does cost a lot more than what the product's worth to actually air freight those, which is why we don't do it. So when it comes to sea freight, as long as it's packed sternly and it's a certain type of box, that's like not a specific box, but it has to be a certain type of fiberboard box, which we use anyway as a part of our normal shipping. They're perfectly acceptable. Yeah.
You got a duck there?
It's a magpie at the front, I think. It's a magpie. I'm surprised you heard that, because yeah, we've got a lot of magpies out there because they're behind our factory. Because
your microphone's really good, mate. It's picking everything up.
We've got where we are in our factory here. I'm at the office. It's out the back, so like a little water area, so like a little lagoon thing, and water. Yeah, and it's got all the birds. So this time of morning, at 7 o'clock in the morning, all the birds are coming out and they're chirping because it's a spring day.
How much paint do you make in a day, do you reckon?
It depends on how busy we are at the moment.
Do you base it on orders, or do you just...
Yeah, based on orders. Depends on, again, how busy we are. So at the moment, we're just dealing with Australian customers. We've got no internationals at the moment because they've all been shipped out already. So we're waiting for the loads to arrive. So we've got no current orders heading out overseas, but we're doing all our local stuff here, all our retailers here. Making paints wise, we could probably... We run production 5 or 6 hours a weekday, Monday to Thursday, sometimes Friday if we're flat out busy. Then that pumps us out probably a couple of 1,000 bottles a day.
Wow.
Just to restock everything. And then orders, as the orders come in, depends on which retailer, how often they're ordering, how much they're ordering. We could easily be shipping out that sort of amount every day too, even more. Yeah, some of the large retailers will order a couple of 1,000 bottles. Some will order a couple of 100 bottles. It fluctuates in between. Yeah, it just really depends on how busy we are with the customer orders. And at the moment, we've caught up all our production because we were behind for quite a while. Because when we moved factories, a couple of years ago now.
I'm assuming you've gone to a bigger factory, bigger turner.
Yeah. So a brief history on that. We ran this company out of our garage at home for a while.
Same here. I run mine out of my garage as well. Yeah, so I know what that's like.
So I did that for 4.5 years. And then when COVID kicked off, we got super busy. And that was when I was able to give up the landscaping business and then move into this full time.
Is that kind of when you went international? Because to be honest with you, you mentioned earlier on that you started in 2016 to 2015?
16, yeah.
I'd never heard of you up until fairly recently.
Internationally, we started, our first international was USA, which was back in 2018. And then we started shipping small amounts to them. And then when COVID happened, yeah, everything went busy. And that was when we first moved into the UK. And then New Zealand from there, and then Canada's only been recent. So yeah, when COVID happened, we got super busy, and then my wife lost her job because of the COVID restrictions. So then she had nothing to do, so she came and worked with me. So we were both working in a small garage home, trying to keep up with orders, and it was getting busier and busier, and we were ready to strangle each other because it was getting very packed and tight, and we're trying to work, and it was summertime and it was very hot, and it was like, all right, well, we've got to do something about this. So then we end up leasing a dedicated factory space. We outgrew that in 2 years. So then we end up purchasing the property we're in now, and which is, it's over 300 square meters, including mezzanine.
Scott, does heat affect production of painting? Because I didn't know if heat would be a factor in a country like Australia.
No, the heat doesn't affect the paint at all. The heat affects us.
Yeah, of course, yeah. But you can produce it, and
Yeah, especially now because our production's done up on mezzanine level.
Yeah, you're staying summer now, aren't you?
Yeah, it's starting to kick into summer. We're in spring now, so today is one of our warmest days in 6 months, they're saying. So it's going to be around 24 degrees.
24. That's quite comfortable, though. It's nice.
Yeah, it's nice. It's a nice day. But then summertime here, it's where we are. It's wintertime's freezing cold, as in it gets into the minuses and that, and low doesn't.
Really?
Yeah, early mornings here, you can easily get into like -2, -3 in the middle of winter, and then top of 8 or 9 degrees at most in the middle of winter, and that's normal. But then in summertime, it's the complete opposite. We could have tops of 45.
Wow.
Crazy.
Not comfortable.
Yeah, it's rare. It's rare that we get 45 here, but if we can get 38, 39, that's normal in the middle of summer in January, February.
Crazy.
So, for those that don't know your ranges, and heaven knows why they wouldn't, but can you give our BenchMates an overview of what your product ranges actually include?
So we've got our main range, which is our premium airbrush ready lacquers, acrylic lacquers. That's 230 colours in that range. And that includes general use colours, so your blacks, your whites, your clears, that sort of stuff, along with all the military aircraft, train, so everything that solid colour-wise is in the premium range. We've got the metallics range, which is 20 colours at the moment. Then that is your silvers and your golds, your bronzes, your coppers. We've got 20 different shades there. And then we've got pearls, 30 different pearls.
So is that for vehicles, pearlescent?
Yeah, pearlescent. So for cars, even a lot of sci-fis, people who build Gundam and things like that, they'll like to use our pearls as well. There's 30 different colours there, and there's some beautiful colours in that range. There's the crystal colours, which are also a pearl. They're like, see, have you ever seen Mr. Colour crystal colours? They're very similar to those.
What's so special about those, Scott?
They're an interference type of pearl, so they're white. They look white, but they've got a shimmer of colour. So you throw them over white, you'll get a nice shimmer of colour.
Do you do one of them that changes colour, like a transition? Do you do that kind of colour?
Yeah, we do colour. We've got colour shifts as well. The colour shifts, we've got 19 different colour shifts, and they're the ones
Wow.
So depending on the angle you look at, the colour coming back to you is going to be completely different. That's the way they work. The lights transfer through the pigment. They're translucent, these pigments. And as the light comes through, they reflect back different colours because they're a multifaceted pigment. And so it's that way, depending on the amount of light going in and the angle you're looking at, you'll see a completely different colour every time. So we've got 19 versions of them. Then we've got special effects colours like a prismatic, which is a full rainbow effect. We've got glow in the dark, all those special colours. We've got an automotive colours range. Now, the automotive colours range is focused heavily only on Australian colours. So this is your Australian Ford and Holden colours from the 1960s and 70s and the 80s. So your HQ Holdens, HJ Holdens, your XY, XW Falcons, the classic Australian cars, because we work closely with a company called Diecast Distributors Australia, or DDA, who produce a range of 1/24 scale plastic kits. We work closely with them, so they release a kit. We release the colours to match the kit. And then we've got other bits and pieces that go along as well. So we've got tools and accessories and stuff like that. So
Do you do primers and clear coats, Scott?
yes. So we do primers, do 4 different primers. So black, white, and grey. So your standard sort of 3 shades of surface primer. And then we also have an etch primer. So etch is good for metals or resins, which helps with paint adhesion.
That's interesting. I hadn't actually thought about an etch prime for resin before.
Makes it bite, doesn't it?
Is that an airbrush ready or is that a brush on?
Airbrush ready. Yeah, the etch primer, it's got a mild etching acid in it, which helps it adhere to the metal. So once it adheres to the metal, then the next paints will adhere to the etch primer. It actually works the exact same way with resin.
Yeah.
It's not really needed for 3D print resin, but like for a cast resin, it's really handy to use.
And your clear coats are matte,
Yep.
semi-gloss?
Yeah. So we've got 3 different clear coats in our acrylic lacquer range. So we've got standard clear gloss, which is about a 75% gloss rating. Then we've got our flat clear, which is a dead flat clear. And then we've got super clear, which is our high gloss, which is about 91% gloss rating, which is the highest gloss we can make.
Would you recommend that for model cars?
Yes. Yeah, I use that all the time when I'm doing cars and that. The super clear will give you a nice high shine finish to it without having to worry about mixing. So we also do a 2K product as well, but that's more a professional sort of thing than a bit.
So with that, this is something I'm considering having a go at in the future, because obviously the guys from one of the new model car podcasts are badgering me to have a go at doing a vehicle. With the clear coats, would you put almost a dust layer down first, let that go off, and then a more wet coat over the top.
So you don't want to go on too heavy, because if you drench on an acrylic, like I say, the thing with lacquers, I should really point out, as you probably know, but listeners might not, if you put on too much lacquer on top of lacquer, the solvents will leach down and into the layer below and reactivate it and then they'll all marble together.
Re-wet it in a way.
If you do that with a clear coat, it's going to make a mess. So the general rule of thumb that I follow myself when I'm doing this, when I'm painting the cars, is you do a very light coat first. So it won't look glossy. It'll dull off because getting full coverage is getting a light, like a dust coat. Yeah. So you want something for the next ones to teeth into and grab onto.
Yeah.
So you do that light coat first, let it dry. Do a second coat, same again, light coat. And then when you get to the third or fourth coats, then you start going a little bit heavier. But you got to make sure you put it aside and let it dry enough before you put the next layer on. You can't just keep layering it and keep layering it in one section.
How long would you recommend in between?
Depends. There's a lot of variables in that. So it depends on temperature at the moment. So if it's in the winter and it's cold, it's not going to dry fast. But if it's in the middle of summer, it could dry really fast.
Most are really quick, aren't they? Paints like yours are within a minute, are pretty touch dry.
Yeah. Couple of minutes, they're touch dry, so you can handle them.
Yeah, you can pick them up.
But again, the more you put on, the softer the paint's going to be underneath.
Is that included the gloss as well? Because I've always found glosses take a little longer.
Yeah,
I'd give that an hour before I'd go anywhere near that.
Yeah, you don't really want to touch the clear coat until it's dry anyway, because you could run the risk of leaving fingerprints and stuff on it. With a solid color paint, it's less likely for that to happen. And if it does, it's quite easily to fix up. You can just dust over it a bit more.
Is that your modelling genre, as it were?
I do absolutely everything. I never used to do cars, but since I've been working with the guys from DDA, I do a lot of cars now because I do it for promotional reasons, but I do them. But my main thing that I started off with was Gundam. So I did a lot of Gundam and then reached out. And then my main passion that I really love is dinosaurs.
Get out of here.
So I do a lot of 3D printed dinosaurs now because you can get a lot of kits and that, but it's a lot easier to.
I've just bought the Tamiya, that flying one. The
Pterodon, yeah.
Yeah, my son wants that. My son wants one of those.
That flying one.
I've literally just picked that up. £7. I thought it's 5 pieces. So straight into Wongi's zone there.
Scott, have you got your products into anywhere that's not scale modelling?
Not really. I do have a lot of people.
I just wondered have you got any airbrushes, guys that do airbrushing for some motorcycle helmets, trucks, and the guys that do that, would they use your product?
Oh, yes. Yeah, there's a lot of people that do.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that do that. We've got a lot of guys that do fishing lures.
Fishing what?
Fishing lures are really big here. So there's the guys that do custom lures, and they use our color shift, their pearls, our fluoros, things like that to really make the lures pop. And then they catch fish with them.
Brilliant.
I didn't know you did all them weird transitional colours at all. I didn't know that was part of your thing.
Yeah. That's one of our biggest claim to fame is the color shifts and pearls, because while a lot of people are doing them now, we were one of the first hobby companies to really push it. And we've probably got, I'd have to double check, but I'm confident that we've got probably the largest range in the hobby world in terms of pearls and color shifts and special effects. And we're constantly doing limited edition stuff. So we find a cool color and we'll release a certain amount of those in color shifts and things like that. So to get people excited for our products. But yeah, that's our main claim to fame is those pearls and color shifts.
I'd always say for listeners, if anybody, quite a few of us obviously do use lacquers, and I've converted to using lacquers, I've found that a bottle goes so much further than other paints.
Yeah, that's a lot of that's to.
What's in there? Is that 30 mils?
Yeah, 30 mils. Because we formulate ours to be pigment heavy. So we've got a lot of the binders that are in the product itself. And then with our colorants, we up the dosage. So then we can keep strong pigmentation, but having a really thin viscosity.
I'll tell you what I like.
Yeah.
The fact that there's still glass.
Yeah.
There's so many manufacturers now going over to plastic. The fact that there's still glass.
The reason why we went with glass is because anything but glass is porous. Even plastic that's meant to be airtight, eventually the product can leach through, not physically, but it can evaporate through. So we went with glass because, one, it's safe. It's a lot safer to be working with glass bottle when it comes to a product like ours And you don't need to squeeze the bottle to get out with a water base. Most people are using it for figure painting and things like that, so they need to put a couple of drops out so that they squeeze it out. That's fair. But with ours, because it's just a pour and spray, you don't need to pour it in another container to thin it. You can just pour it straight in the airbrush. We chose a bottle that was perfect to pour in and pour out. And yeah.
Okay, so what's next for SMS then? Any new colours or finishes or even new product lines you'd like to tease for our benchmates?
At the moment, our range is pretty much where it's at. We're quite happy with that. So we're working on some limited edition items. So just a few different colour shifts and pearls. We're continuously working on expanding our range. So at the moment, our main focus is on the automotive range. So as more of these DDA kits come out, then we do more colours to suit these Australian cars. Saying that though, just because they're Australian colours doesn't mean they can't be used on anything. There's some beautiful colours in that range. And if you're into the auto colours and you're into building cars, these colours would be great on any car. It doesn't need to be Australian. We're doing a heap of those. And at the moment, we're trying to keep on top of things and working on some stuff behind the scenes, but nothing super exciting coming in short term.
Just a quickie to let you know, Brownie's working on a car right now.
Yes, Musaru Cup this year is a car build.
You let me guess, Julian picked that one, did he?
Let's put it this way, Julian's laughing his socks off because Dave's building it.
Dave's doing it.
Oh, Dave's building it, jeez.
And he hates the idea of a vehicle.
Yeah, Dave doesn't like anything that's not a rocket.
He was huffing and puffing on the last podcast. He didn't sound very happy about it already.
What about you, Luke? Have you done any cars yet?
I haven't done any cars. I have done, oh my goodness, I have done a motorbike, but
Yeah, same thing.
we're not getting another look at that. I'm just going to say that. It's something which I do want to potentially do at some point, but because my following on YouTube is so very much just aircraft, and that is what I like to do with SMS paints.
Oh, get out of your comfort zone, mate. You've got to do it. You've got to do it.
Yeah, I know, but I like planes. They're more fun, in my opinion.
Have you got on this bench at the minute, Scott? Anything good?
No, the bench is clear at the moment. I haven't had any time to do anything the last few months. So yeah, I've got a couple of big kits I want to build at the moment, a couple of Gundams that I wanted to do because I want to get back into them because I haven't done them for a while, but I just haven't had time.
Do you know, a Gundam is something I have never done.
Oh, if you pick the right kit, they're very fun. If you're a traditional, like a military modeler, you can quite easily build some of the...
Same as Luke, I'm predominantly aircraft.
Hang on, let me just do the quick role reversal. Go on, Mark, get out of your comfort zone. What are you doing?
Anyway, coming back to the main theme, new products. What's the chances of a Blue Diamonds blue then?
I'll have to look into it and see. Because the beauty with our stuff is there's a lot of colours that overlap with other things. So we could have something very similar to it, or it could be just something that it could be something simple as take this colour and add this colour and there you go. Yeah, I'd have to look into it and see.
Because the 132nd Hunter is going to take a lot of paint.
I'd imagine.
Exactly. And it's one of the main colour schemes in the Revell's boxing for next year. It's going to be a biggie.
No, that's something to look at.
To get the colour, they didn't want to have Roundel Blue. They just literally opened cans of Roundel Blue and added some white in.
That was going to be my guess of what the mix would be, because it does. Because our PL04 blue, just our standard blue, it's a near match, like a 99% match for Roundel Blue. So I would have suggested just, probably a 50-50 mix, maybe 25-75 white to blue.
It wasn't even that. I think it was only about a 10% white I think they added in. It's literally a shade lighter than Roundel Blue.
Okay. Yeah, because you also have to factor in the way colours change as they dry as well. So sometimes, and it also depends on the paint formula itself. The colour itself might not change if you got two different types of paint that are the exact same colour, but if you added the same ratio of white to the same, both the same ratio to both, it could end up looking completely different because the way the pigments actually work, the tinting actually works in the paint. So yeah, it wouldn't be exactly the same as what they would have done in the factory, but yeah.
Okay, Scott, thank you very much for your time. Hopefully you found this
Thank you very much for having me on.
not too tortuous, especially at this time of the morning for you.
I know, it's all fine. It's a nice, beautiful morning to get up early, so it's fine.
Excellent. Okay, hopefully we can actually speak to you again in the future, and you never know, perhaps even entice you over to Telford one year.
Yeah, hopefully it's one of those things to get over there. It'll be great.
Okay, Scott, thanks very much, and we will hopefully speak to you again soon.
Thanks, guys.
Cheers. Bye.
Yeah, Scott. Bye now.
Cheers. Okay, well, with that, thanks very much for tuning in, guys, and have a safe drive back from Telford if you haven't actually already been round to the Revell stand and had a look and see what's available. Obviously, the show's on for 2 days, so you've got Sunday if you're still here, if you're listening to this overnight, or for those overseas, you should be able to see pictures of what's been released on our socials very shortly. But for this special episode, thank you very much, and we're back to our normal episodes in just over a week's time. With that, from Wongy,
Ta-ra! And don't forget, 60 parts or less, but with all these announcements, it might be a bit more than that.
it's going to go that way. From Luke,
Bye-bye.
and from Boulders.
Cheerio all.
And for myself, thanks very much for listening, and that's it for the special episode. We'll see you all soon. Bye-bye.